questions from the audience? Well, you can, be creative.
Yeah, you can ask about anything also.
Yeah.
Hello, as I know, some very creative programmers have a personal technical blog. On this side, the technical blog is very important because as you are writing, yeah, that could help you think and review what you have done. Do you have any suggestions about the technical blog?
Yeah, I have also a blog where I blog about programming and other things, and I think you have a great point. I think it helps to like blog about things, but I think maybe what's easier as a programmer than to start a blog is maybe just creating a like GitHub, the social network for programmers that I mentioned, and just going there and looking at different code and seeing what like really good programmers are working on, because most of really good programmers have like many projects. It's like small projects, and you can just go in there and check out what they are working on, and maybe like when you achieve a certain level, you can like start your own blog and just blog about your programming.
Can you recommend some social network of programmers?
Yeah, GitHub.
GitHub.
Yeah.
GITHUB. All programmers should know that.
Yeah, it's a great, and yeah, it's also, you have like followers like you do on Plurk or Twitter, and you can like follow great programmers and see when they apply a patch, and then you can go in and check what kind of code they have patched.
You just mentioned created an oasis in your life. I am very curious to if you can share your experience, what you do in your oasis. And
Yeah.
Or maybe sometimes you can elaborate some more, like what kind of creative things can be done in the oasis for different people, especially for programmers.
Yeah, I can share some of that. I mean, the thing I usually do is I really shut everything out. I mean, I'm not that much on instant messenger, and when I work, I'm not there at all. I also close my phone down so nobody can call me.
What do you do?
Well, then I code. I mean, and just experiment with ideas, and I'm just very focused on that task. So that's the way I like create my own oasis, and I think also it's important to go to a place where you can't be interrupted. So it's like going to a coffee shop where nobody knows that you are there. Yeah, because I think in work, like having meetings and having people coming over and interrupting you all the time, it's very destructive for your thinking. Because if you are thinking like, I think the most productive thinking is like very focused thinking.
So if you are the boss of the company, will you give everyone an office so they can let themselves up and do thinking, things like that?
Yeah, I would probably do that, or just do so they can like have a very free time of when they can come to work, and if they want to, they can go in a coffee shop or work from home.
Yeah, so actually in the Google office, they actually have a room, like a space capsule thing, so you can hide inside and think if you want. So maybe you can have that in your office too.
As long as you can. Oh, by the way, another question. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. I think creativity is nourished by a lot of experience. And so it's still a sort of learning, and you digest the experience, and then become something unique of your own. So I would like to know, saying, okay, when you, for example, you scale down that exponential growth to a linear growth to solve your problem, it must have something behind that. So you sort of make use of some of your experience to solve this technical problem.
Yeah.
And so
I think you're right in that respect. I mean, also the most things I have read about creativity relates a lot to a lot of experience, because your brain neurons must be like very interconnected before you can like get new connections. I mean, if you just have like a straight line or then I think you're right in that sense that experience matters a lot. And also some of the interesting things I have read about creativity is that it takes about 10,000 hours to become like really good at something, an expert, and have the ability to like come up with something that is really creative and really innovative.
So do you have suggestion in terms of how to nourish your creative thinking? Creating oasis is one method, right?
Yeah, I think a very important is flow. So you should always try to be in this state of mind. This is how you like excel and become much better at things. Because if you aren't in flow, then or if you are just in boredom, then I mean creativity does not really flourish in boring settings. I mean, yeah, you must be energetic and.
I have a question related to this flow. Even if you shut down your mobile phone and internet messaging and everything, I think it still takes something for you to get into that flow, basically. And I'm just wondering, because of your past experience, like even if you have a quiet place with no interruptions, what do you like? As you observe yourself, like sometimes people can get into a flow much quicker, or I mean, even sometimes you are in that kind of environment, but you still cannot get into that flow. So I'm just wondering, how do you get into that zone, and how do you make yourself easier to get into that mental state?
I think it all depends on what kind of tasks I'm working on. So if I'm working on really boring tasks, then I don't really hit the zone.
Hit the boring zone.
Yeah, I mean it's and I have the same problem. I mean I'm not immune for. I mean if I have a really boring task, I read news. So I think it's about picking something that you are really passionate about, and maybe if you are creating like taking 2 hours off, then you pick like a task that really you feel passionate about, and you pick something that is hard for you. So you have to like challenge yourself into that, and that is at least how I get into the zone. It's like I pick or I get into the zone when I work on something that I think is very important to me.
Okay. There are many problems involving programming with any implications, any problems. But how did you identify a problem as it's challenging?
I think it's something you do based on your knowledge on yourself and your skill level. So if you have just started programming, then you don't really start by writing your own database. You start by writing a hello to.
I would like to. I think that will be learning. That will be the learning process. But when you're at the highest skill level at the maybe the one of the top programmers, and you have some really simple problems, but sometimes you want to further drill it down, maybe optimize it. Sometimes some simple tasks could be challenging too. And I'm just curious that how do you actually, how much have you had to like delve into that to find the really challenging the nature of the problem? Like, and
Yeah. I think, you know, when your skill level gets really high and like challenge level are really low, then you can implement something very fast. You don't have to think that much about it. And I mean, I myself know what is challenging for me, or maybe have an idea of. So I think you must like look into what you are good at and what your current limitations are, and try to find like an interesting problem that you are passionate about and that challenges your current. So for example, if you are learning a new language, you start off with a low skill level and then you move upwards, and as your skill levels progresses, so should your challenge level. And when you reach like a really high level, then most of the work you should do is like challenging work. I mean, if you know like me Python really well, then I don't write hello world programs, or I maybe write databases or something that requires a certain amount of skill level.
But then how do you know you're in the flow state where you're being creative? Right. Sometimes you find out the solution,
Well,
but there might be a solution that is not really creative.
Usually, if you are in flow state, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you don't think you know, then which means you haven't achieved it. Okay. So that's a very, very important thing to try.
I think we always have some creative ideas in our daily lives, but we at a lot of time we don't. Most of the time we are not have the time to enter the oasis at the time when we have the creative ideas. So how you keep yourself remember the creative idea when you enter the oasis and you know what you have to do?
And actually, if I have like a really good idea, I can't forget it. So it's like
yeah, actually we may forget it.
yeah. So
Did you have any memos to remember the creative ideas or other things? So that you can have something to do when you have the time to enter the oasis mode.
yeah, I don't have any tips on that. I mean,
But
it's
you use Plurks.
yeah. But I don't know. I think it's about. I mean, if I have a really great idea, I don't really forget it. I mean, it's like it just sits and I can't think of anything else.
If I forget it, it means not so creative anymore.
Yeah, maybe. But maybe, you know, if you have a problem with if you have like an insightful idea and you forget it, then maybe a notes block and just scribbling down. I think it's a great approach.
Okay.